In Slavic mythology, Perun is the highest god of the Pantheon and the god of thunder and lightning. His other attributes were fire, mountains, the oak, iris, eagle, firmament, horses and carts, weapons, and arrow, and war. He was first associated with weapons made of stone and later with those of metal. Perun is the mythical smith, so he is often associated with mining and metallurgy, and his name seems also to be related to the ending of modern name of copper. Perun is described as a rugged man with a copper beard. He rides in a chariot pulled by a goat buck and carries a mighty axe, or sometimes a hammer. The axe is hurled at evil people and spirits and will always return to his hand. Sources: of all historic records describing Slavic gods, those mentioning Perun are the most numerous. As early as the 6th century, he was mentioned in De Bello Gothico, a historical source written by the Eastern Roman historian Procopius. A short note describing beliefs of a certain South Slavic tribe states they acknowledge that one god, creator of lightning, is the only lord of all, to him do they sacrifice an ox and all sacrificial animals. While the name of the god is not mentioned here explicitly, the fact that the word Perun in a number of Slavic languages today simply means thunder, or lightning bolt, credibly suggests that this was a reference of him. The primary chronicle relates that in the year 6415 Prince Oleg made a peace treaty with the Byzantine Empire, and by taking his men to the shrines and swearing by their weapons and by their god Perun, and by Veles, the god of cattle, they confirmed the treaty. We find the same form of confirmation of a peace treaty by Prince Igor in 945. In 980, when Prince Vladimir the Great came to the throne of Kiev, he erected statues of 5 pagan gods in front of his palace, which he soon thereafter discarded after his Christianization in 988. Perun was chief among these, represented with a silver head and a golden moustache. Vladimir's uncle Dobrinja also had a shrine of Perun established in his city of Novgorod. After the Christianization of Kievan Rus, this place became a monastery, which, quite remarkably, continued to bear the name of Perun. Perun is not mentioned directly in any of the records of Western Slavic traditional religion, but a reference to him is perhaps made in a short note in Helmold's Chronica Slavorum, written in the latter half of the 12th century, which states that Slavic tribes, even though they worship many various gods, all agree there is a supreme god in heaven which rules over all other on earth. This could be a reference to Perun, but since he is not named, nor any of his chief attributes mentioned, we cannot be certain. Moreover, the name of Perun is also commonly found in southern Slavic toponymy. The Bulgarian and Macedonian people believe that the name of the Bulgarian mountain Perun, one of the highest mountains of the Balkan Peninsula, was named after Perun. There are also places called Perun, Perunak, Perunuvk, Perunica, Perunia Karglava, Perunivrh, Perunjarvez, Peruna Dubrava, Penua, Peruais, Perudina and Perutervac. These names today mostly represent mountain tops, but in medieval times, large oaks, sacred groves and even entire villages or citadels were named Perun. Also, as mentioned already, in Ukrainian Perun and in Polish Pyrun means thunderbolt. Among South Slavs, a mountain plant Iris germanica is known in folklore as Perunica and sometimes also as Bogisha, and was believed to grow from ground that had been struck by lightning. Also the Serbian surname Perunia and the Macedonian type micron n euro n florin th 1/2 th 3/4 th squared n th are derived from Perun. The Bulgarian people believe that the name of city Pernik is thought to have originated from that of Slavic god Perun with the Slavic place name suffix a Euronik added, and was first mentioned in the 9th century. The medieval town was a key Bulgarian stronghold during Bulgarian Tsar Samuel's wars against the Byzantine Empire in the 11th century, when it was governed by the local noble Krukla of Pernik, withstanding Byzantine sieges a number of times. Etymology. Perun is strongly correlated with the near-identical Perkanaz Parkons from Baltic mythology, suggesting either a common derivative of the Proto-Indo-European thunder god, or that one of these cultures borrowed the deity from the other. The root Perku originally probably meant oak, but in Proto-Slavic this evolved into Per meaning to strike, to slay. The Lithuanian word Perkunas has two meanings, thunder, and the name of the god of thunder and lightning. Artifacts, traditions and toponyms show the presence of the cult of Perun among all Slavic, Baltic and Ugro-Finnic peoples. Perun was also related to an archaic form of astronomy. The pole star was called Perunzi, and countless Slavic and Hungarian astronomers continued this tradition. Most known ones are Nicolaus Copernicus, whose name contains a short form of Perun, or Franz Xaver von Zach, whose ancestors, the Tsar H family, ruled until 1280 the Slavic territories between Slovenia, containing the villages of Perun and Panitz in the Pundorf plain up to Perna in Moravia and Pernk in Slovakia. The cult of Perun in this territory, populated since the 5th century by Slavs and since German invasion called Austria, reached far into the west up to the river Panitz near Lienz in Tyrol. Myth. In Slavic mythology, much like in Norse and Baltic mythologies, the world was represented by a sacred tree, usually an oak, whose branches and trunk represented the living world of heavens and mortals, whilst its roots represented the underworld, that is the realm of the dead. Perun was the ruler of the living world, sky and earth, and was often symbolized by an eagle sitting on the top of the tallest branch of the sacred tree, from which he kept watch over the entire world. Deep down in the roots of the tree was the place of his enemy, symbolized by a serpent or a dragon. This was Veles, watery god of the underworld, who continually provoked Perun by stealing his cattle, children, or wife. Perun pursued Veles around the earth, attacking him with his lightning bolts from the sky. Veles fled from him by transforming himself into various animals, or hiding behind trees, houses, or people. Wherever a lightning bolt struck, it was believed that this was because Veles hid from Perun under or behind that particular place. In the end, Perun managed to kill Veles, or to chase him back down into his watery underworld. The supreme god thus re-established order in the world, which had been disrupted by his chaotic enemy. He then returned to the top of the world tree and proudly informed his opponent down in the roots, Thn florin, nth degree th 1/4 nth squared th 3/4 th micron th 1/4 th micron nth 3/4, nth degree th 1/4 nth degree th plus or minus th micron th plus or minus n florin th no. This line came from a Belarusian folk tale of great antiquity. To the Slavs, the mythological symbolism of a supreme heavenly god who battles with his underworldly enemy through storms and thunder was extremely significant, and from Perun and Veles, this idea of cosmic battle was passed on to God and the devil following Christianization. While the exact pantheon characterization differed between the various Slavic tribes, Perun is generally believed to have been considered as the supreme god by the majority, or perhaps by nearly all Slavs, at least towards the end of Slavic paganism. The earliest supreme god was probably Rod. It is unclear precisely how and why his worship as the head of the pantheon evolved into the worship of Perun. Another candidate for supreme deity among at least some Slavs is Svarog. Weapons. In the classification scheme of George's Duma copyright Zil, Perun was the god of the second function, a god of war, and as such, he was armed with several fantastic weapons. Perun's lightning bolts were believed to be stones and stone arrows. According to folk beliefs, Fugarites, Belemnites, and sometimes even the remains of prehistoric stone tools found in the ground are remains of these weapons. Various Slavic countries also call these deposits Perun's stones, thunderbolt stones, thunderbolt wedges, and Perun's arrow. Other unrelated names for these include Devil's Finger, God's Finger, and Mother of God Finger, and in Lithuania, Berkun's Finger. These thunderbolt stones were sometimes said to be transferred back to the sky by the wind after being under earth for a period of 7 years. The weapons of Perun protected against bad luck, evil magic, disease, and naturally enough lightning itself. Perun also had another type of weapon in his arsenal, as destructive as his firestone arrows, but even more unusual, mythical golden apples. While this may not seem to be much of a weapon, in many Slavic folk accounts, the golden apple appears as a talisman of ultimate destruction. An example from a Serbian folk song from Montenegro with strong mythical elements relates, A Euro Tei Vardi Tri Jabuk Zlatni Bosi and Bujuvi Zine. A Euro Tri Munj Od Neba Pukoi Jedna Gar the Jevram Lida, Druga Gar Por Unado Renew, Trio Gar Svata Angstromist Stotina, Ni Utia Eo Kazar Svedra Kar, Ni Dar Kor 3/4 E, Kako Pajibui. A Euro He grabbed 3 golden apples, and threw them high into the sky. A Euro 3 lightning bolts burst from the sky, the first struck at 2 young grooms, the second struck a horse in a stall, the third struck 600 wedding guests, not an eyewitness left, not even to say how they died. It is conjectured that the mythical golden apples of Perun were symbols of a rare but notorious form of atmospheric discharge, ball lightning. The same is probably true for the thunder marks of East Slavic folklore, of which 2 examples are shown above. Characteristics. Remains of an ancient shrine to Perun discovered in Perun consisted of a wide circular platform centered around a statue, encircled by a trench with 8 apses, which contained sacrificial altars and possibly additional statues. The overall plan of the shrine shows clear symbolism of the number 9. This is sometimes interpreted that Perun, in fact, had 9 sons. It should also be noted that in some Slavic folk songs, 9 unnamed brothers are mentioned. Similarly to Perkinars of Baltic mythology, Perun was considered to have multiple aspects. In one Lithuanian song, it is said there are in fact 9 versions of Perkinars. From comparison to the Baltic mythology, and also from additional sources in Slavic folklore, it can also be shown that Perun was married to the sun. He, however, shared his wife with his enemy Veles, as each night the sun was thought of as diving behind the horizon and into the underworld, the realm of the dead over which Veles ruled. Like many other Indo-European thunder gods, Perun's vegetative hypostasis was the oak, especially a particularly distinctive or prominent one. In southern Slavic traditions, marked oaks stood on country borders. Communities at these positions were visited during village holidays in the late spring and during the summer. Shrines of Perun were located either on top of mountains or hills, or in sacred groves underneath ancient oaks. These were a general place of worship and holding of sacrifices. In addition to the tree association, Perun had a day association as well as the material association. Post-Christian Perun. With the arrival of Christianity, various churches had a difficult time trying to overcome the worship of the old supreme deities of the Slavs. In the East, the Eastern Orthodox Church gradually managed to pass much of Perun's characteristics onto a new Christian saint, Elijah the Thunderer, based upon the Old Testament prophet Elijah, who was separated from his servant by a fiery chariot from the heavens and then swept up by a whirlwind. This seemed a good enough approximation of the old thunder god with his fiery bolts. In the West, the Roman Catholic Church offered Saint Michael the Archangel, who, as a commander of heavenly armies and vanquisher of the devil, was also a fitting replacement for Perun. It is also possible that on a local level Perun was replaced with Saint Vitus, where this saint did not, due to similarities in names, replace another important Slavic god, Svantovit. However, it is also possible that already in pagan times, the worship of Perun was challenged by a growing cult of Svatovid. On some levels of folklore and popular Christianity, some of Perun's characteristics were passed on to the Christian god himself. Toponyms and artifacts: Pomerania, Pyrene, Pisicia Euro, Lusatia, Pna, Bernstorff for Euro, Silesia, especially Upper Silesia, Pizowis, Beira, Bohemia, Perna, Pernac, Perun, Beruntz, Berunia ky, Pernatij, 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 Pira Euro, Austria, Perun, Pernitz, Pernitz Liens, Donoskirchina Euro, Slovakia, Pernk, Perinova, Pira Enchima Euro, Hungary, Perkata, Perkupa, Perkova TZHZ, Sopran, Perkt Postara Euro, Croatia, Piruia, Piruakia Euro, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Vrea, Perunac, Perunuvk, Perunica, Perunia Karglava, Peruni VRH, Perunjarvez, Peruna Dubrava, Penua, Peruais, Perudina and Peritovaca Euro, Ukraine, Perichan, Bulgaria, Pernik, Perushtiso Euro, Finland, Tampere, Pernian, Pornanian, Pavua Euro. Cultural references. Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time character Perun is largely based on Perun. In addition to the name's similarity, Perun's choice of weapons include the axe, hammer, and bow. Like the god, Perun can speak with wolves. Additionally, in texts that allude to Slavic mythology, Perun's name is usually replaced with Saint Elias. In the Wheel of Time, Elias Mishera is yet another character that can speak to wolves. Folk metal band Chill Risers makes references to Perun in their song A Portage to the Unknown, as well as describing the general look of one of the ancient symbols of Perun. French technical death metal band Gorod reference Perun in their song Elements and Spirit as the only one worthy to bear the name of God. Ukrainian black metal band Nocturnal Mortuum tell about Perun in their song Perun's Celestial Silver, with references to arrows, lightning, and the punishment of thieves. Ukrainian far-right band Zokhara Peruna, in Marvel Comics a member of the Soviet supergroup, the People's Protectorate is named Perun, also in Marvel Comics, in the alternate continuity of Ultimates 2, the terrorist group The Liberators has a member named Perun. He is described as a Soviet Thor. Perun appears in the Hellboy limited series Darkness Calls, in which he aids Hellboy before being killed by the Baba Yaga. In the Warren Ellis limited series Supergod, the post-Soviet Russian Supergod is based on Perun. Perun is a major character in the Iron Druid Chronicles novel, hammered by Kevin Hearn. See also, the Shrine of Perun and Perun, the Cult of Perun in Perun and in Novgorod, Prenj, Montenegrin Perun, Perperuna, Perkanaz, Perkunos, Pagan, nickname of Paterperunervia Thor, Indra, Zeus, Veles, Varpulis, Saint Elijah the Thunderer, Axe of Perun, Taranis, Pwa. References, Perun, the God of Thunder by Mark Yoff and Joseph Krafkic. Peter Lang Publishing, Graves, Robert, New Larousse Encyclopedia of Mythology, Crescent, Ryan, W.F. The Bathhouse at Midnight, An Historical Survey of Magic and Divination in Russia, Pennsylvania State University Press, Zlenko, Myroslava T. The Gods of the Ancient Slavs, Tatishkov and the Beginnings of Slavic Mythology, Slavica, Yoff, Mark. Krafkic, Joseph, Perun the God of Thunder, v43. Peter Lang Publishing. External links, a description of petroglyphs of Perun in a subterranean early Slavic shrine in Slovenia, Perunkar. Notes.